In this lesson, we'll be learning how to write an equation of a parabolic function in the turning point form. So, we said that the basic form of a parabolic function is given as y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. It's also written as y is equal to a multiplied by x plus or minus p squared plus or minus q. Okay, so this is the basic form of a parabolic function which you were introduced to in grade 10. And this is the turning point form. Both of these, number 1 and number 2, they give you the same answer. They mean the same thing. But this one helps us be able to write the turning points, the maximum as well as the minimum value. And this one is just a general form in which you were introduced to for the first time. So let's have an equation which we calculated in the last video, which is y is equal to x squared plus 5x plus 6. So this equation is given in the form y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. And we want to write it in the form y is equal to a multiplied by x plus or minus p squared plus or minus q. What we're going to do, we're going to use a method called completing the square. We complete the square, which forms part of the syllabus of grade 11. You were taught how to complete the square. So I'm going to show you how to do it. First of all, there is 1 before x squared. What we're going to do is that before you start completing the square, every time you're going to factor out the number which is before the x squared. So we're going to say that y is equal to 1, we factor it out, and then we have x squared plus 5x plus 6, because if we multiply everything by 1, it will remain unchanged. So the first step is called factoring out. So in the first step, don't forget, you factor out. So the second step, we are going to isolate the constant. The constant is a number which doesn't have a variable or an expression without a variable. We're going to say that y is equal to 1 multiplied by x squared plus 5x. You close them and then you put the positive 6 outside the brackets. The second step is called isolation. So make sure you are able to do these steps. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to add half the coefficient of x. What is the coefficient of x? A coefficient is a number that comes before a variable, which is 5. It's a coefficient of x. It comes before x. It's 5x, and the number which comes before x is 5. So inside the bracket, we are going to add half the coefficient of x, which is half of 5, and outside we are going to subtract half of 5. We're going to say that y is equal to 1 multiplied by, so we're going to have x squared plus 5x, then you add half the coefficient of 5, and then you square it, then you write the squared, you close it, and then you're going to say plus 6. This time you are subtracting half the coefficient of x, so you're going to subtract 1 over 2 multiplied by 5, and you're going to square it. So we're going to say that y is equal to 1 multiplied by x squared plus 5x plus, what is 1 over 2 times 5? Well, that gives us 5 over 2, and we're going to square it. Okay, so we're going to do all that is outside the brackets. We're going to say it's positive 6. So let's see. It's given as positive 6 minus 1 over 2 multiplied by 5 squared, and that gives us negative 1 over 4. And this is minus 1 over 4. So you are going to write minus 1 over 4. Okay, so what we're going to do in the next step is not so difficult. Okay, sorry for that. So what we're going to do in the next step, okay, we're going to say that y is equal to Okay, that just erased itself there. That's going to be minus 1 over 4. And we're going to say that y is equal to 1. Then you're going to open the brackets, you put x, and then you put the number which you see inside the brackets. That's positive 5 over 2. And you're going to say positive 5 over 2. And then you square it. And then you say minus 1 over 4. So let's see. What are we going to do now? This is complete in this form. We're going to multiply everything by 1. We're going to multiply this thing by 1 and this thing by 1. So we're going to say that y is equal to, if we multiply x plus 5 over 2 squared by 1, will remain x plus 5 over 2. And that is squared minus 1 over 4. And this is the turning point form. Okay, so for example, let's see the x-intercepts which we calculated in the last video. The x-intercepts were given as minus 2 and 0, as well as minus 3 and 0. We're going to test them. Let's see. Let's plug negative 2 first. We're going to say negative 2 plus 5 over 2 squared minus 1 over 4. Well, if you can check it, that gives us 0. Okay, so even if you plug negative 3, we're going to get 0. So let's plug negative 3 plus 5 over 2 multiply all squared minus 1 over 4. You get 0. So this equation and the one of x squared plus 5x plus 6, they mean the same thing, but this one helps us be able to find the turning points. So let's write the turning points here. Okay, so turning points are also written as x is to y. So we're going to write them in the form x is to y. What you see here is the turning point, is the y. So we're going to say here is negative 1 over 4. And what you see here, we're going to say it's x, but with an opposite sign. Okay, this one is positive 5 over 2 inside the brackets, but we're going to write negative 5 over 2. If we had something like this, suppose we had something like x minus 3 squared. Because here it's minus 3, we're going to write it with an opposite sign, and it's going to be negative, it's going to be positive 3 when we write it in a coordinate. But the value of y remains unchanged. We just write it the way it is. We only change the number which is inside the bracket, the one which is attached to x. Thank you for watching.